One of these bikes that I purchased, I would have not have bought if I had a chance to test ride it. Can you guess which one? Stay tuned to Medicine Wolf YouTube channel and find out. Test rides are a thing of the past. Why aren't dealers doing test rides anymore? There are some here and there, but more and more are not. And I think it has a lot to do with a few factors. The one factor, and most importantly, is people are thrashing on these things or wrecking them when they test ride them. And so there's a lot of liability that comes with it. When I went to test ride either one of these bikes that I purchased in the last year and a half, I was not allowed to test ride them. One dealer said, well, if you're serious about it, I might let you test ride it. Well, I was serious, obviously, because I bought it and still was not allowed to test ride it. I think the insurance that dealers have to deal with has a lot to do with it as well. If I go out and I wreck this bike, I'm not buying it, obviously, and I think the dealer has to eat it. So I do think that the consumer has somewhat to blame about that. So, are we responsible? Are we partly responsible? We all know that motorcycle sales are going down. In the last year, they've dropped 11%. So dealers are having a hard time, and I'm going to talk about some of the costs that dealers tack on in a future video. But for now, let's talk about why you would want to even test ride a bike. What's the point? It looks cool. It sounds cool. You can hear it started up. You can sit on it. Why test ride? For me, the one main reason I want to test ride is the feel of the bike, the feel of the engine. How does it accelerate? How does it handle? How does it turn? You can't get that from looking at a bike on a showroom floor. And now dealers are expecting us to shell out $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 or more for bikes we haven't ridden. And I just don't think that's reasonable. All the car dealerships let you drive their car before you buy it. So I think even though, yeah, it's a risk and a liability, how do you really determine whether somebody is serious about buying a motorcycle or not? One dealer said that I need to have collision insurance, which I typically do not carry, to be able to test ride one of their bikes. It was a BMW 1300, and they were just really hesitant about letting me, test ride it. So I didn't, and I didn't buy the bike either. It's a little bit of, are people showing up to joyride these things? Are they really serious? They just want to check it out, or are they really going to buy? And I don't know. I don't work at a dealership, but I'm sure, how do you test out who's really serious and who's not? That's a great question. Another reason to test ride a bike is the ergonomics. Yes, you can sit on it in the showroom and see how it feels, but until you're riding it out there, you really don't know how it's gonna feel. And I remember my first BMW GS I bought, I went in there to buy an RT. I thought for sure I was walking away with a BMW RT. I test rode it, and then I test rode the BMW GS 1200 Adventure, and I was just sold. So I went in there to buy one bike, and I came out buying another. In 2017, I went in, and I didn't know what I wanted. I was trading in my BMW Adventure, and I test rode 3 different bikes. I test rode the KTM 1190 Adventure, the 1290 Adventure, and also the Africa Twin. And I walked away with the Africa Twin, and I was not expecting that at all. I thought for sure I was going to buy a KTM. So at the end of the day, I think a test ride is so important. And I urge dealers out there to make it more available. Now, a lot of people talk about demo days. So demo days are when the manufacturer, whether it's Kawasaki, Yamaha, BMW, whoever, KTM, brings a series of bikes and you can just do that. But how often does that really happen? Once a year, twice a year? So I don't want to wait for demo days personally to test ride a bike. If I want a bike this weekend, I'm going to go buy a bike this weekend. If demo day is until next April, I don't want to wait 6 months. So I think there has to be a better solution to not allowing us to test ride bikes. And for those dealers who are still allowing test rides, thank you. Appreciate that. But it's not easy to find. I'm in Arizona, and there aren't many dealerships, I can tell you, in the state of Arizona who allow test rides at this point. And I know dealers are hurting and they don't want to endure any more costs than they have to because sales are down. But please, please, please find a way to allow us to test ride. When you're test riding a bike, one of the things I love to do is just, how does it corner? How does it handle? 21-inch front wheel versus a 19. Those are going to turn differently. Do I like it? Do I feel comfortable? And even though I can see how much legroom I have on the bike when I'm standing over it, until you come to a stoplight, you put your feet down, you really don't know until you get that real world kind of test. So, you know, taking a corner, feeling the acceleration, you know, how does it accelerate? So those types of things I think are super important when I'm test riding a bike. And just to feel like, do I feel connected to the engine, to the throttle response, all that? Do I feel that? Or does it feel like there's a delay or a lag, or it just doesn't, I don't like it? Because I remember why I didn't buy those KTMs in 2017 was because I had to really rev up the engine to get the power. And my style of riding is not like that. I like to feel the power low down, so I could like the low end torque. That's ultimately why I love this bike, the Africa Twin. This KTM does not need, I would say, not as much to rev it up higher. But I think KTMs in general, just, you got to wind them higher. I think test ride is important. On 2 occasions, like I said, it changed the bike that I went in there to buy, as I thought I was going to buy. To me, the test ride was everything. How did it feel? Did I feel comfortable? And the other reason I bought the Africa Twin back in 2017 was the height. So the KTMs were so tall, and even though I have a 33, 34 inseam, and I can flat foot a bike, I was just coming off the BMW Adventure. That thing was so tall, and I just didn't ever feel comfortable on it because it was top heavy. So if it started to go, I didn't want to kill my back trying to right that thing up. So I think that's super important. And when I got on the Africa Twin, it just felt more manageable, a little bit lower to the ground, and it just felt like a motorcycle to me, like what I knew, what I was used to, I guess, if that makes any sense. So let's talk about which these 3 bikes wouldn't I have bought if I could have test rode them. So it's the KLX 300. I went to the dealership, they wouldn't let me test ride it, but I thought, okay, it's not terribly expensive for a motorcycle. It's still $6,000. That's a lot of money, but I bought it, and because I just knew I wanted a dual sport. I got it and I rode it home, and I'm like, I made a mistake. Like, just riding this thing on the street, coming from an Africa Twin and a KTM, I was just like, this thing is so underpowered. Why did I do this? And I was really racking myself, just, you know, why did I buy this without test riding it? So once I got it out on the trails and the dirt, it was a little bit different story. So I think I would have probably gone for something a little more powerful if I could have test rode this, maybe the KTM 390. The new ones were not out then, but they had that other 390 out. Maybe would have test rode the Rally 300, the Honda, but it's similar powered. So I don't know. Maybe I would have ended up with the 450 or something, the 450 RL. Who knows? But again, I could have bought a bigger bike, made the dealership more money if I was able to test ride it. So I think it may even out in the end. What are you going to do? So here's what I think is going to happen, because a lot of dealerships are not going to allow people to test ride, is I think people are going to start buying more used bikes, because I think everybody who's selling a used bike is going to let you test ride it. So as long as you have a valid motorcycle license, you know what you're doing, I would think. I would certainly, if I were selling one of these, I would let the person test ride it and just tell them, you break it, you buy it. I think it's going to push people to buy more of the used into the used market. So we'll see if that happens. I'm going to do another video on why buy new or why buy used coming up in the future. But for now, I just wanted to talk about the test rides a little bit. And I really hope that dealerships start letting you test ride their bikes more. And I think some of the big premium brands I've heard, like Harley and BMW, might still do that. Somebody said the Japanese people don't let you do it. I don't know. I think it depends on the dealership. But a lot of dealerships sell multiple brands of bikes. So we'll just see how this trend goes. But I think maybe, just maybe, the reason that the sales is declining 11% is because you're not allowing us to test ride the bikes. So maybe that goes hand in hand. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, comment, anything you'd like to see in future videos, I'd appreciate it. And always remember to blaze your own path. I'll see you in the next one.